Welcome back. I'm Linda. I finished up a fall scene today. I think I'm going to call this one Harvest Moon. Got some beautiful oaks and a stream, lots of reflections. I know you're going to love painting this one. So get your paints out, get ready. So let's get started. And here are the paints I used. Acrylics by Liquitex, titanium white, ivory black, Naples yellow deep hue. Winsor Newton oils, titanium white, lamp black, phthalo blue, Van Dyke brown, red ochre or Indian red, yellow ochre, raw sienna, cad yellow pale hue, cad red light, and an oddball orange by Artist Loft. I've got a regular canvas. I made it black with black acrylic and then I let it dry. The moon shape is 1 3/4 inch cut round circle with clear easy liner contact paper made by Duck. And then I've got a sea sponge cut up in medium sized pieces, maybe 3 or 4 and maybe a few smaller pieces. So now I've got my canvas all dry and ready. I'm holding up my cutout circle moon about where I'm going to start putting the background in there for that moon. So I'm just doing just enough, just big enough to I know where that circle will fit. With titanium white, smooth it out. And I'm going to add a few dark shadow areas in that moon. Just dab a little ivory black on that and it will kind of blend in with the white, so it'll turn out kind of a medium gray, medium to dark gray. But I'm going to put a few shadow areas there. Put them wherever you want, wherever you think. And then if you have a little too much on there, I've got uh, some blue shop towel that I just kind of lay over the top and soften up. I've got a mop brush that I use to soften a few areas. And then you can keep going. You can add light, add dark. I'm going to put a little light rim on the bottom portion where I think that rim is going to be, and then maybe a little bit on the top. Take a shop towel, kind of take up that excess paint, or tap with your finger, just, kind of blend it in a little bit. You can make it however you want. So when you're happy with it, let it dry. And put the contact paper over it, stick it really good, and then paint over that with black acrylic. Just a nice light coat, just enough to cover that white, brushing kind of outward, and then we'll wait till that dries. And we're going to pick it off. I'm using a palette knife because when it's dry, it'll stick really well. So, and I just pull it off. There, we got a nice moon. How's that? So now the next phase is liquid clear. You're just going to put a very, very light coat, very light. And then I'm going to go over that with a blue shop towel. Take a lot of that excess oil off. I don't want a lot on there. Just enough to make that canvas slippery. So you can wipe it off as much as you can. You can do the finger touch, but I do like the shop towel. Now I'm going to go into a little bit of Van Dyke brown and a touch of alizarin crimson. And gonna make kind of a brownish red, I'm gonna go in with brown, a little alizarin. It's just gonna be kind of a real reddish brown. I'm gonna put that all over the back side, not over the moon. It's just alongside and around. Just go down probably about halfway. Just blend it in. I've got a nice fan brush there. I'm going in with a little bit of titanium white. We're doing oils now, okay? So I'm doing little circular motions around the moon. Very light touch. Just blend it in the best you can. I'm taking a mop brush and I'm gonna go over that. I just want to make it real soft, a soft ring around that moon. Just blending and blending. I add a little bit of cad yellow, um, just a little bit of yellow there, and just gonna put some yellow areas in there. And at the bottom rim, I'm gonna touch that too, just a little bit of the cad yellow. Little circular motion, just blend that in. Just soften that up. You can add as much yellow as you want. Seeing though it is a harvest moon, I think they're more on the yellow side. So I added a little more yellow inside that moon there. And a little more yellow around the bottom of that rim. Because I want it to kind of glow. You know, it's hard to make it glow, but with the white on the bottom first, it'll all come together when I put all the other colors around it. It'll just really pop. Just blending. Now I did add a few clouds on the top, but as you'll see, they will kind of disappear. So I'm going in with a little bit of the phthalo blue and just a touch of white. Just a very, very dark blue. So I want the little white in there. It's going to be like clouds within clouds, and you can kind of see that. There's some more on the bottom. Start putting, that's where, oh, the background trees are going to be below the halfway mark. So I'm going to put a little bit of blue there, and I'm going to put a little blue where I'm going to have our stream too. Just right below the halfway. And it's going to be way in the distance. So I'm just putting the layer of that blue down. And I did mix up a pile with a little bit more white in that blue. So it's almost a gray blue because I did put a touch of black in that. But it's so hard to see right now. It just blends right in. You can add the lighter streaks as you go. But you want that dark blue in there. Because when I start adding water to that, it's going to be really cool. It'll pick up the blue and reflections from the sun. Or the moon. It's going to be really pretty. Just working my way down, angling. I want to angle that stream off to the left there, the bottom. So now I'm going into Van Dyke Brown with a little touch of the raw sienna. And I'm going to brush a little bit of that up there, a little bit of raw sienna, and maybe a touch of red ochre too. I want it to be kind of a real soft reddish sky. It's going to be very dark. And just blend that in. X strokes. And there you see it. Got a little bit of red ochre and Van Dyke Brown. Just a touch of red in there. Just a very, very little. It'll just blend together. I want a deep red background sky. And actually, it's going to be the background for your leaves. Because your leaves are going to be multicolors. So this is actually the leaf background color that we're putting in there. Not your typical sky. There's some more red ochre. Or if you got Indian red, you can put that in there in spots. Kind of go up and meeting that halo around the moon. Figuring out where I'm going to have my leaves from these trees that are going to be alongside there. And base color. Adding some more on the other side, left. The left of trees, both sides. So when I start adding the yellows and the orange and all those yellow ochres, this acts as a nice base color for the background. And I'm going to have a little bit of red ochre alongside of that stream too. And there's going to be blue areas kind of above the halfway mark on each side on the ends, because the sky will kind of show through there. It's almost like a midnight sky. Add a little lighter blue up there. Maybe some sky will be showing through. Going in with I've got a fan brush, putting in some clouds. Gonna do some little tiny circles, upward motion. And I've got two brushes there, one dry and one wet. One I use for white, the dry is used for underneath those clouds. So I'm just going to buff out the bottom portion of those clouds. And see how it's picking up the blue? That's pretty, isn't it? So I'm going to go around and I'm going to buff out the bottom of those clouds. Some of those are going to disappear here in a little while, but okay, so now I'm going into some more yellow ochre, a little bit of the raw sienna with a touch of Van Dyke brown. And I've got a half-inch round brush I'm using. I'm putting in, starting to make some little dotty leaves, just putting in dots of leaves. And that's going to go on top of that, what we just put down, the reddish brown there. This is a little bit lighter, so it will show up. It'll show up really neat. So I'm just going to do some little dots, little leaves from the trees that are going to be in there. Just shape some branches and clusters of leaves. And we'll put down the arms of trees that in just a little while here, but we're going to put this down first. There's lots of layers of colors in this, and that's what makes it so neat for a fall painting. There's so many combinations and different hues of colors that we're going to make. And feel free to leave a few darker areas in there. It doesn't have to be solid. Just leave a few of those dark areas. All you need is light taps in that, because the next color that's going to go on top of that, we'll see. I'm going to make it real pretty. That's going to hug the moon a little bit. It's going to go around one side and maybe on the other. Almost like clouds, but they're actually going to be leaves. There we go. Isn't that looking pretty? Just tap in very lightly, soft leaves. Almost a deep caramel look. Tapping away, there's just going to be quite a few trees in there. And it can be just below let the clouds peek through. Okay, now I'm going into the phthalo and a little bit of that gray and little white and blue and gray mixed, soft gray blue. I'm going to attempt to put in a little distant pine tree in the back, blue spruce, way in the distance. So it doesn't have to be perfect. I'm using a little liner brush because I'm just kind of dabbing at such a small area. Just dotting a little tree in there. And you can shape it however you want. This one's going to be kind of like a little Christmas tree back there. I'll just, there you go. Yeah, I'm just going to tap it a little bit with a darker blue. I just want it just barely to show. I want it really faint back there, dark. Taking some of that blue and putting it in the distant tree line there. Now I've got a little of that gray blue on my little fan brush, and I'm going to start putting in, actually it's the shoreline there where the land is going to meet the water. Got a little very, very dark color on that. Like black and a little bit of phthalo in there. Just very, very dark, dark. Gonna edge the stream where the bank is. I'm gonna bring that bank almost right into the water there. It's just gonna be dark, very dark. Just blend it in with the blue. I start adding some white in there. It'll pick up that dark blue, and see how pretty that's gonna look. I'm gonna go way in the distance there. That's where it's gonna go around that little narrow little bend off to the left. You can just barely see where that water is going through. I want it really narrow back there. Okay, so now I am going to start adding some trees. And I'm going to go below the halfway mark. I've got a liner brush, black paint. Going to go right up, almost to the top, not all the way. But the liner is just going to serve as, my first line. And then after that, then I'll maybe get a little bit thicker brush, but I don't want them too thick. Those trees are not real super wide. That's why I'm just going to stay with my liner brush. And I can always make it thicker by the pressure that I put on my brush. And I'll make little arms. Lots of little arms. They're going to be all over the place. And they're going to be reaching to the top, of course. Some shorter, some taller. There's going to be 3 main ones on that side that are going to be a little bit closer to the bottom of the canvas. It'll make them appear like they're bigger, they're just closer. And the arms are reaching toward the moon and up. Lots and lots of them. And if you can make them real fine, lift up on your, I kind of twirl my liner as I go up, and that's how I get that nice point. Just ever so light ending, and just lift it up real lightly. Takes a little practice, but it's well worth it. Because you don't have to put a lot of pressure on these brushes. So I'm just putting maybe 5 or 6 small ones. Some don't go all the way to the top. Some are lower. And just keep adding those little trees and arms. We'll be putting off the pretty color of leaves on those boughs, those limbs. Lots of little, even little, real tiny ones in between those trees too, because it's brushy. It's just woods. Lots of little things are growing in there. Okay, so I'm going into that, oh, the caramel. The caramel color actually is raw sienna. And I'm going to, oh, excuse me, that is the gray blue, I guess I'm going into. I'm making the water way in the distance. It's just barely showing up there. And as I come forward, I'm going to curve, and then the sides are going to be wider. I'm just going to gradually widen that stream. And that's that gray blue that I made with phthalo blue, touch of black, touch of white. And I just going side to side with my brush, little light strokes. And since we've already got the blue down, just a little white on your brush mainly, because it picks up that blue. Even though I am dipping in the gray blue, it's still, you get variations of that hue, different light and dark. So we'll put this first layer on, and then I'll add strictly white on top of those, make those little splashes in the water. Kind of zigzag back and forth, pushing up, side to side. There's really no set pattern. You just want to make sure you leave some of the darker areas in there. It gives it more of a realistic look. You can put some stones in there too if you want. I think I added a couple dark stones. But the water toward the front, the bottom is rushing pretty good. There's quite a few splashes, and then we'll highlight those splashes with titanium white with a touch of yellow. At the bottom, I'm just kind of straightening that out. There's a nice little hill there going uphill, bank. It's darker at the base of those banks, and it's on the bushes. They're more of a uh, lighter yellow, red ochre, and a touch of uh, raw sienna. It just gives it that rusty colored look. It's so pretty. Fall. So now I've got my palette knife, and I'm just putting in some little movement in the water. Put a nice small little roll on that and just curve around and makes the prettiest water lines. I've got a gnarly little fan brush that I use for splashes. Just using the little hairs on the end and just pushing up a little bit, pulling down, and it looks like splashes. And you can always go back and correct some of those with some dark blue. If they're too, too light, You can put a shop towel over the top, take a little bit off, dab it with some dark blue, give it some depth because you want the dark and the light in there. Trying to make it sparkle, that's kind of hard to do. But I did add little tiny, tiny touches of yellow. Okay, here we go. I got my sponges here. I've got 3 or 4 that I cut off of a sea sponge. It's got some really cool shapes on the end. We're going into that raw sienna and a little bit of Van Dyke brown and just a touch of yellow. So I've got that pretty color there. And I did put it in the bowl of odorless mineral spirits, squeezed it out a little bit, then I touched my paint with it. So it's not, sopping wet or anything. It's just damp enough and the paint will stick to that really cool. So now I'm putting in some bigger leaves on top of those other ones. And just with the twist of your wrist, you can shape those leaves however you want. Isn't that pretty? Really looks like fall leaves. We're going to put a couple 3 layers of different colors on that. And it's going to be I like realistic looking leaves, not just one solid color. But so this is kind of a layered look, but I'm just tapping in this color I've got with the raw sienna, a little bit of Van Dyke brown, touch of yellow. That's how I made what I'm doing here, putting right over the top of those other leaves that we made with the 1 inch or the 1/2 inch round. So we've got different variations of shapes of leaves in there. So I'm just going around trying to figure out where I'm going to have my bushes on the banks, touching those. I know it's dark, it's probably hard to see. Maybe it's better with a big screen, but I'm just dabbing in, shaping bushes on that bank, leaving a lot of that dark around where the water meets it. A lot of dark areas in there, so you don't want to hit that too much. And then on the other side, I'm going to try and do the same thing. Figure out where I'm going to have my bushes. And if your spongy's not getting a lot of paint, then just go ahead and dip it some more in your paint. Refresh it a little bit and they'll come right back. So I'm just making a little row of trees kind of along the stream there. See how I'm dipping in my spirit there? Now I'm tapping a lot of that off. I'm going to go right into my paint. I'm going to go in and take up some of that red ochre, a little bit of Van Dyke, and just a touch of orange. And I'm going to try and go over the top or reshape some of those where I think there's going to be big branches. See how pretty that looks? Just shape where you're going to have your branches. And we'll be putting in black thin branches after we get all this in. I'll go right over the top of that and connect where there are some really pretty clusters of leaves when we put our trees in. More trees. See how it goes over those branches? We'll expose some of those. We'll expose some of those branches. So don't worry if you hit a little too much in one area. I'm going to go around the moon. I love that color. It's a really pretty rusty color. just here and there, clusters of leaves. I'm going to do the bushes down there. Going to be like 2 or 3, but I'm not going to run them together. I'm going to separate them. I'm going to leave a darker area in between them. And same with on the other side in the front. You can have a cluster of bushes up around those trees in between. Okay, now I'm going into yellow and white. Oh, this is going to be fun. If you have too much yellow, and I did have too much yellow in certain spots, but because I kind of got carried away with them. But I just went over the other colors, the darker colors, and I muted the really super. And I practiced first on a paper plate just so I could see what the shape was going to look like. So I just started at the top corner and just twisting my wrist. See how bright that is? Oh my goodness. So you want to tone those down just a little bit. But that's okay. Keep going because you can tone down after a while. You have to get up and stand back and kind of squint. Then you'll see where the light is going to hit, and that's where you want the brightest area. But when you blend the yellows with this rusty color, there's a little bit of an orange cast that comes off of that. It's just really a beautiful color. Typical fall, I think. You can see down the middle, I got the clump of yellow. Oh, that's going to go away. Yeah, I'm going to reshape that after a bit because I got carried away in that spot. But anyway, I'm working on the top, and yes, it looks quite, there's a lot in there. But like I said, you can go back with this red ochre and a little bit of the raw sienna, and you can tone all that down and really shape your clusters of leaves. Kind of imagine where that moonlight is going to hit in the water right down the center and on the both sides, just a little here and a little there. You don't want to overdo. I'm just going to keep going, and then I'll go back and I'll hone everything down. Okay, now I've got my 1/2 inch round. I'm going to go into a little bit of yellow ochre. And I'm going to go in there and I'm going to mute some of those really super bright leaves. See how that works? That works pretty good. And you can even go in there with a little bit of brown. Just, there I'm going around some tree limbs. And you could play around with this all day. But I tried not to overwork it too much because, you stand up and you look at it and you can see right where those sun rays, moon rays are gonna hit, and it's actually really close around the moon and then right straight down and a little bit on the sides. Now that area I got my brush on right now, I end up wiping that off. Just so you're not following me right now, because I didn't like that area. I thought it was too much. So I just took one of my blue shop towels. I dipped it in my odorless mineral spirits, and I just wiped that little area right off. And you'll see in a few minutes how easy that was. It doesn't hurt anything. It just wipes right off. So anyway, I'm going down in my bushes on the sides. There you see how I wiped that off? Pretty cool, huh? worked out really good. Now what I'm going to do is perfect this tree that's right next to the stream. I'm going to bring some arms up carefully, and then I will gently put in some of those rust tones and orangey yellows, and then I'm not going to overdo that area. It's just going to be a really beautiful cluster of leaves that's going to be right halfway down. You'll see. I've got my little round, a half-inch round brush. I'm going to tap. I think I end up using a fan brush, but I'm going to start out with my round brush, and you'll see I'm going to have it right in there. I'm going to have a branch coming out, and there's going to be a cluster. I did put a little bit up there. See, I end up getting a fan brush. Oh, actually, I'm perfecting the tree right now. I've got black on the liner, and I'm going to bring out a nice little arm and put in some extra little arms that are going to come out. I've got some of that dark rusty red ochre. I'm going to put the groundwork in for a cluster of leaves at the base of the leaves, and then the other colors we're gonna go on top. So now I'm into my yellows and whites, and here I believe I started to make a little cluster there of leaves, but I ended up using my fan brush. I had a little more control. There. Yeah, see, I have a little more control with the fan brush. I can curve it more and see much better that looks. And then I'll add some oranges in that and some pretty yellows in there, a little bit of yellow ochre, a little bit of orange back in the red. Just try and match up with those other colors. You'll see how that works. I'm going to add that rusty red ochre in there. Of course, it could be a different tree too. I'm perfecting the arms come out. Before it was just too much of a globby area. I had to take it off. But see how you can fix things with oil? It's so easy. I'm taking my fan brush vertical and putting some little gnarly sticks in the back along the stream. You can do whatever you want here. I'm going to add some more color in there along that tree branch. I almost see a finished painting here. I really love doing this one, and I hope you do too. If you have any questions at all, feel free to private message me, and I'll help you as much as I can. So until next time, happy painting, and God bless.